Robin's coming from Moody Air Force Base. Okay. All right, guys. It is time to get started. All right. Today, this Tuesday, our mastermind, we're back again with Ben Whetstone. Okay. Previously, a couple of weeks ago, Ben sat down with us and talked about how he is using Claude to radicalize his business. As he just mentioned a few moments ago, right? To the point where he's more focused on the tech side of his business. And it's improving and amplifying his real estate business. Okay. Ben is out of Florida. Okay. He is the owner and the team lead of South Shore Team here with us at EXP. Okay. He is also the developer and owner of Closing Day, an AI platform that he's going to touch a little bit on during our conversation today. Okay. More importantly, he's a husband, he's a father, and he's an EXP agent. Okay. So we already love him. All righty. So Ben, go ahead and kick us off with what we got going today.
Awesome. Oh, I lost the video. Okay. So I wanted to do something a little bit different than we did last time. And I think what a lot of time you see when there's these types of sessions that are AI related. Last time we did as much tech as possible. And I have a favorite ask of you guys, because I know some of you want that. I just gave you an Instagram handle. I'm also on Facebook. Just look me up or look me up in the EXP system. If I don't cover something tech related that you wanted to get during this session, I promise you, I will give that to you one-on-one after this. But I thought we would go over something a little bit more important that I have noticed in probably 100 or so conversations, I would estimate, with real estate agents, much like myself and other people in here. And it's not a tech issue, it's a mindset issue. Everybody is here because they are at least notionally interested in what AI can do for their business. And I don't think that's the place to start. So I wanted to step back and have a conversation on some observations that I've had talking with people. And actually, some of the conversations happened because of the last session we did here. There are a few distinct reasons why people are not embracing AI in their real estate business. And by the way, let's not assume you have to. You don't have to embrace it. I'm not making a judgment one way or another. I'm just saying that the people that seem to be interested are getting stuck at a certain point for one of 3 or 4 reasons. Reason number one, I think the biggest reason is you're notionally interested in the technology. You see somebody else do something cool with it and maybe post about it or whatever, and you want to get involved, but you actually haven't taken the time to sit down and define a problem that you need solved. It's like, I mean, Caleb, does this make sense? Like, it's like getting in the car and trying to go somewhere with no destination in mind.
That's a bullseye.
I mean, you get somewhere, but it's not the most efficient. It's not the most efficient use of your time. So if you are interested in AI, great. The next step for you, if you're hung up by that, is I want you to sit down and define a problem. So for this first question, if you're that first type of person, is somebody brave enough to unmute and tell me what problem they want to solve and share it with the group, so we can all grow together?
100%, guys. Feel free to jump in. All right. What is a problem you feel like you could solve with AI, but may not know exactly where to get started?
Anybody? All right.
Oh,
looks like
Robert's
raising his hand. Go ahead and unmute.
I don't know if this off subject, but you said talk, so I'm talking.
Yeah.
I've been learning a strategy called subject to the finance over the years, and sometimes I'll be wanting to drop content for pre-foreclosures, as in what is it? It's like 10 ways to stop a pre-foreclosure. I be want to drop content, but I don't do it because I feel like
it's a lot.
I don't know everything about it, and I be want to do AI to do that sometimes.
So you want it to help you generate content You want it to help you generate content for social media?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Really, it's not even if I buy a house subject to the finance. It's more as in I can help somebody with some information, and I'll be wanting to create content to get my content going. It also helps on information. And
Okay.
I don't really depend on AI, but I want to learn how to use it. But I don't do that because I haven't really met with any people that's like lawyers that does that. I don't know if I'll be breaking the law.
So can we do a one step back? Yeah. And I just summarized your problem in the chat just for reference. So can we take one step back on your approach?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is exactly what I'm trying to illustrate. And thank you so much for bringing this up. You're stuck because maybe you don't know the next step. Okay. What if, I know this is crazy, what if you sat down in front of, and I would recommend Claude Cowork, not chat and not code, Claude Cowork for this. What if you sat down and said, I need you to create an agent to help me do X. In your case, I need you to create an agent to help me generate social media content to reach potential clients and lead sources on social media for subject to and foreclosure real estate deals. Will that work? You're still muted, but yeah.
Let me write that down. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again, and I know that sounds obvious to everybody, but we're all growing in different places, right? So, and this is what I was exactly describing to Caleb before everybody got on. I have a friend who's a financial planner who wants to do all this stuff, and he'll tell me about it, just like Robert, you just told 17 people on here what you're trying to do, but you didn't ask the place that can help you. So the next step is for you to sit down and clearly articulate your goal. So I think this will be on the recording, right? So you can go back and listen. But basically the gist is you're looking for help. And if you say, I would like you to create an agent, it's going to create a tool, a skill that will do this as its job. I would like you to create an agent to help me generate relevant social media content to find lead sources and potential clients for subject to and foreclosure real estate deals. So just look it up in the video later. And then step 2 is maybe say, take the time to go educate yourself on subject to deals so that you have the best content, something to that effect. Because what you're doing is what we described is essentially hiring somebody. You've hired an agent, not a real estate agent, but an agent in the sense of a worker, an employee, basically, to go do something specific for you. Does that help?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It helps a lot. And I would also like to say, I'm not talk too much. I'm focused on like first-time home buyers to help people, but I just also want to have that information out there just in case I'll be able to help one or two people.
Sure. Well, and that's a framework. That's a framework for any skill you want. It doesn't have to be subject to first-time home buyers, VA loans, whatever. Relocation. So just everybody, if you write that down, what I just said, just take out subject to and foreclosures and put X, whatever your niche is. Golf communities. That literally doesn't matter. A lot of that's syntax. And I'm so glad you brought that up first, Robert, because the thing is, what I've noticed, some of us are way more willing to take risks with technology. Some of us are terrified that they're going to break something. So it's like sometimes people almost just need permission to go do something. I guarantee you, Robert, you cannot break it. It'll be fine. Go try it. You'll learn the syntax. I could be way off in how I worded it. The other thing you can do is say, hey, ask me any follow-up questions you need so that there's clarity in your task. Okay.
I found, real quick, Ben, I found that to be extremely powerful, guys. If you are talking to AI and you're trying to give it a task, or if you're trying to learn something, at the end of what you're typing in that box, say, ask me any relevant questions to get this done. Okay. Because then it's going to ask you questions because it wants to bring in the context of what you're trying to know. right? It'll walk you through how to explain something to it. That's how granular it gets. I'm sorry, Ben, but it's
No.
crazy. Yeah,
That's true. That is true. Now, I mentioned 3 or 4 different things, but I'm just going to go out and say they're all sort of going to be offshoots of what we just said. Sort of you just don't know how to get started. You don't know, there's a lack of continuity between, and this is so why you notice I'm not sharing the screen. I'm not showing you anything tech-wise right now, because until we get over this hump, it's not going to be useful for you. Now, there is a second group here, okay? There's a second group of people who are maybe good technology-wise. They may be considered proficient. They can use Excel. They're good, with our tools like SkySlope and things like that. They're awesome. They're not technical Luddites whatsoever. But there is this mindset that we're basically their users. They're not in the developer mindset. They're in the user mindset. So they can type up a Word document. They enter it's input output. It's predictable input's going to generate predictable output. Well, with AI, this is a whole different type of computing. You are putting basically unpredictable input and getting unpredictable output. So an example of this is, let's say you go to a bar and you're meeting somebody at a bar. You sit down next to them. This happens in like hotel bars a lot. And I say, hi, I'm Ben. What's your name? Now, that might be somewhat predictable. You see somebody, it's polite to say hello. Hey, how you doing? I'm Ben. You didn't know I was going to introduce myself. You didn't know how the interaction was going to go. Now, the next step, let's say it's Caleb sitting next to me. Go ahead. What would your reply be?
hey, my name's Caleb, man. Nice to meet you, Ben.
Great. So this is going well.
Yeah.
But I could not have predicted that he was going to say that. It was still unpredictable. You have a somewhat of a construct, what's called semi-structured in the data world, where I gave a semi-structured question to a tool, and I had an idea what I might get back. But what if Caleb just got some really bad news, is just a jerk, and he doesn't like talking to strangers? He just got fired. He's a raging alcoholic and can't have normal conversations, whatever. What if he gave me something unpredictable? What do I do?
Yeah.
Well, let's say he's a jerk. Okay, he's not, but let's say he is in this scenario. Maybe I just get my drink and I move to another seat and give him his space. Maybe I go talk to somebody else, because my goal is to like make a friend, let's say. I go talk to somebody else and I make a friend. What we've demonstrated is this: unstructured or semi-structured questions and unstructured or semi-structured or unpredictable responses, and then responding to that obstacle and moving past it. I went and sat next to Jerome, okay? And Jerome has already had a couple, and he's much more pleasant to be around. And he says, hey, I say the same thing I said to Caleb. He says, hey, I'm Jerome. How you doing? How about them Bucks, or how about them Braves, or whatever team you're into? And I made a friend. The goal has been accomplished, okay? Does everybody understand that analogy? Does that make sense?
And real quick, just to break it down a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So like Ben is saying, like when you're sitting down at this bar, you're giving a somewhat predictable, input. Hey, how are you doing? My name's Ben. But you don't know what's going to happen on that other side, right? And so Ben, segue us into the next part.
Okay, so we have the people that just sort of need permission to go ask something. We have the people that won't branch out because they are afraid of unpredictable inputs and outputs. Not afraid is not the right word, but uncomfortable with, don't know how to deal with that, and then of overcoming the obstacle. That sort of overcoming the obstacle is actually number 3 as well, because overcoming the obstacle is where you've done what Robert did. Robert has put his query in, he's got his agent, but Robert has hit an obstacle. Okay, there's some issue has popped up that's prevented him from getting the result he wants. Now, Robert, would you just shut the MacBook get up and leave? Or would it be better to sit down and maybe ask another question and say, what do you need from me to accomplish this? Or what is the obstacle? Or maybe it has already told you need to do this. Maybe it's some sort of connection you need to an outside tool. Maybe it's authorization. Maybe it needs you to log in somewhere, open a browser. There's a lot of different things that are connected to this that can generate obstacles. It could be when you're getting started and you're starting to do more advanced things, maybe you're hitting token limits and you have to wait because you don't want to go up to $100 or $200 a month plan. You're okay with waiting. Well, maybe Robert only has the $20 a month plan, and his way of dealing with that obstacle is just coming back later. That is legitimate. But the third type of person that doesn't get into the situation where they're using AI effectively but wants to is the person that gives up when they encounter obstacles, because they're not used to it. They're not used to encountering obstacles with technology in this way. If you've ever done any sort of programming, if you've ever done any sort of development, if you've ever done any sort of technology projects, it is an absolute guarantee that you're going to have obstacles. Caleb designed a back-end product for his team, is an admin dashboard type tool. Okay, and I designed Closing Day, closingday.info. Check it out. Obstacles are frequent. What the difference between a usable thing and just giving up is just overcoming that obstacle. And now I have a profitable, what they call a software as a service product that I can choose to grow as much as I want. And in doing so, not only have I created this product, I've found like talents that I didn't know I had and other things that I didn't know I was interested in. So, for example, when you embrace this kind of thinking, this overcoming these obstacles and learning how to solve these problems, you don't know what path you're going to be led down. I'm actually about to sit for an Azure certification exam, which is like a database system that makes a lot of these things that we're describing work. Okay. I know this is super boring to most of you. I'm not going to bore you, but to me, it's like, man, this is like super interesting to me, which is one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, real estate's great. I'm going to keep doing that for a while, but maybe I'm being led down a different path, technology wise. So you don't know what you're going to be exposed to. Right. Yeah. So Robert has tried the thing he wants to do. He has moved. He's moved past the fear of being of an unpredictable input with unpredictable output. He's gotten some output, but he's hit an obstacle. And instead of shutting the MacBook, he has decided to move forward. Now, I would love some input here. Is there an obstacle that anyone here is explaining that maybe I didn't bring up? Please unmute and let me know.
Is there anything that might be holding you guys back from not using AI? Whether it be a mindset, whether if you feel like there may be ethical things, what holds somebody back from using AI? And if I don't hear anything, I'm guessing that most of y'all are using it.
Hey Ben, this is Keith. Yeah, and I apologize for not being on video, but I'm at my wife's job. But I will tell you that for me, just understanding how to use it to get it to do what I want it to do. I have a fully developed operations manual for my real estate company. But now, how do I use the technology to operationalize that using agents? I just don't know how to do that yet. So I
love that. Okay, let me ask you a couple follow-up questions.
Sure.
What format is I'm assuming this is like a document?
It is.
Okay.
Word document.
So what format is the document in?
It's a Word document and it's in outline form. Okay.
So you created a Word document. It's an outline.
Yep.
Do you have a team?
No.
Okay. So it's you've created an operations manual. Man, you are so far ahead of everyone else. My God. You've written policies. That's a real business has written policies. I don't know if anybody knows that. That's a business. This isn't a business class, but I'll tell you, Keith is on the ball. So you have your operations manual. Do you feel like it's pretty comprehensive?
I think so. I
Okay,
mean,
so
I'm willing to throw it out there and figure out what the gaps are, and then address those gaps as I go. I was just not trying to wait till I have it 100% perfect.
sure.
You
Okay,
know,
so your thinking on this, is this a document that you created? So like if you hired an admin, you could give them this document and that would be like your policies for your business. Your
absolutely.
procedure. Okay. Is it
Anybody that
mainly,
came, yep,
uh-huh.
for anybody to read and execute on day one.
Okay. Whether they're an agent or an admin, maybe?
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because I used to pay $200 a month for a service called Trainual, which I really liked. Would you find it valuable to have like some knowledge checks? Like you've hired somebody, you want to do like a real onboarding process. You want to sort of like in a fun way, kind of quiz them through your operations manual so you know that they didn't just, it's not just sitting on their desktop or whatever being ignored. Would that be something valuable?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's my vision, and trust me, this is your business. This is just an idea. You have your document now. I think that you sort of transform it into what I would call an onboarding system. And you have it, you get some sort of like cheap hosting. I would recommend Cloudflare. Because there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to get too technical in this. Cloudflare is like $5 a month. You can get a domain. You can call it whatever you want, Keith's team, or whatever your business associated with a business. It could actually be a subdomain off of your main business website, whatever you want to do. But you could actually create it as an onboarding platform so that when you bring people in, they have to go through certain modules to be proficient based on what their role is. 2, it also doubles as a searchable and indexed manual.
Yeah.
Right. And you said it was in outline form. Okay, well, go ahead and put it in like narrative form or whatever you would call it, like fully write it out. Would that be helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay, so your first step, and feel free to message me or whatever if you run into problems with this. I'd love to see how you implement it. And trust me, there's 8 different ways you could go with this, probably more than that. I'd love to see your creativity in this. Drag that file into Claude Cowork and literally say, I would like to turn this into an onboarding program for new admin staff and agents for my real estate team. I would like an onboarding system similar to Trainual, and I would like a knowledge base that's searchable for my business.
Nice.
And that's it.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it.
Good morning,
Yep.
guys.
And then don't forget.
That will set you up.
And then don't forget at the end, ask questions as needed.
Yeah.
Then it's going to ask.
So the other thing is when you sit down, you're in college and you're typing a paper on the New Deal, FDR, or whatever. When you're done typing, you have your paper, you print it out, you go turn it in. This is not that. When you start doing this, this is an ongoing thing. You're going to be working in this co-work session, code session, whatever, for as long as you need to until you have the desired outcome. It's not just something you do and stop. This is like hiring a new employee. You hire a new employee, they sit over on the other side of the room, and you just don't talk to them after they've been hired. Think about it like a human. That's absurd. Of course it's an ongoing thing. All right.
Yeah,
Jerome
that
has
makes
his
sense.
hand raised.
Good
Hey,
morning.
how you doing,
Good
Ben?
morning. Oh, okay.
Hey.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, oh yeah. So for me, I've been using Claude, but just in the chat. I took a training about a webinar, trying to do like weekly webinars and stuff with Zoom and webinar CRM. Then I thought about it. I asked Claude, like, hey, could I like mirror this and create my own thing? And Claude was like, yes. So I built it out. So Claude wrote the code for me. Now I can do everything but my problem, I get that mental block like Caleb was talking about. And it's like that execution phase of it. And I'm like, oh man, am I saying stuff wrong? Or am I gonna like, I don't know, turn people off how I present it and stuff. And that's mostly for me when it comes to AI. Like it gives me the plan,
Yeah.
But I get that mental block, like that perfectionist. I don't know,
Can-
like.
And that's
Can we
tough.
back up? Can you tell me what your project is, and that'll give it a little bit more
I've just built out a webinar system. Lawyer, it funnels everything into Google Sheets, the email, the text. When people log in because I'm gonna run ads on Facebook.
Yeah.
Once they go in, Claude helped me build all of that around instead of paying for somebody else's system. It built
it's like
it
a
out
landing
for me.
page system for
Yeah,
your
landing
webinars?
page
Okay, cool.
system. I capture all the leads. I capture everything. The presentation, Claude did the presentation, like literally everything I needed. But for me, it just come down to that mental block. Like I'm kind of like afraid. Like okay, I'm talking to one or two people is good, but when I'm talking to a bunch of people, and if I stumble or something like that, I feel it's like a mental block, and that's what's like holding me back on that part.
So are you talking about like in terms of the presentation itself, like your
Yeah, more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Like how do y'all like
write this down?
Yep.
Help me with strategies to become a more confident speaker. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then
that's it.
I really put in there like give me exercises.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Give me an exercise. You know what I'm saying? That helps establish confidence in speaking. You know what I'm saying? Give me a couple day-to-day activities I can do while out in public that I know when I do this is a part of training. But when I'm talking to people, it's just a regular conversation. You know what I'm saying? So you can get Claude to give you scenarios to put yourself in to help train that muscle. Like it's crazy. And I want to touch on one thing you said, right? You saw something, right? You saw this webinar program. You're like, I want to copy that. I want to, like we all know in this industry, rip and duplicate. Okay. We don't have to recreate the wheel, right? So for a little small piece, when I was creating my backend admin thing, I really admired how EXP's hub was, their new, the hub.exp and everything like that. It's very similar to Slack. I really like the breakdown and everything like that. So when I built my admin backend, I said, analyze hub.exp.com and also Slack for its operational uses and recreate something for my team. 10 minutes later, I have a very basic bare bones Slack hub. You know, I can create messages, chats, groups, you know, I can add profiles, I can add, you know, I can change their password, usernames, whatever. You don't have to know everything. You just have to have a good idea of where your vision is.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, and I'll even take a step back. A good idea is helpful, but if you have just an idea, it doesn't have to be a good one. You can use this as a tool to help it. You make it a good idea. You know, you cannot screw this stuff up. You can't break anything.
Yeah.
You can't. There is no way to screw this up at all. You can't do it. That everyone has permission to go try and break this.
Yeah,
me.
and then like, what I've seen as well, and I'm sure Ben could either agree or disagree, but like whenever you run into a problem, right? And this is with anything, not even just with AI. Like you run into a problem, you're like, how do I get past this? Ask that exact question into Claude, ChatGPT, or whatever. How do I get past this? Or how do I overcome X, Y, and Z? And it's going to tell you. Give you a couple of different routes, a couple of different options. It's that simple. And sometimes, you know, we may gloss over is like, it's not that simple. I can't just sit here and ask it, what do I do? And it'll tell me what. No, literally, it'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Like it's profound in that aspect.
I appreciate it.
Somebody, I have a hunch here, because sometimes when people start responding, it'll like jog thoughts in other people. We are all friends here, and nobody, this is a judgment-free zone. Who would like to share something that didn't work that they tried? And maybe as a group, we can kind of brainstorm it on how to make it work.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Aida Oshner, and listen, I started the AI. I use Manus, and in Manus I have my agent. My agent name is I am starting, so but I think it's fantastic because I asked them to do a plan for me for the internet media, and they give me a plan, fantastic plan that I am right now executing little by little. But you know, it's in the beginning is a kind of a little bit afraid, but my agent asking me questions and questions and questions. So becoming a great plan. And that I learned just asking the iMode in Google how to get an agent, because if you don't have an agent, your files doesn't save. But if you have an agent, the files is there. So when you come back to your site of a agent, so you find your file and you can continue, using the file that you have. So it's really is very good. I am in the very, very, I am learning, I'm studying and learning, but I think it's a really good thing. And if you give us ideas, especially me, that I am there already, so that I appreciate so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're using Manus, it sounds
Yeah.
like, which is a different platform from Meta.
Yeah.
I have not played with it much, but what I did, it was pretty cool. So that's really cool. So it sounds like maybe you were a little bit nervous up front. You pushed through. And now it's
I am because, but in the same token, it's very fascinating when the agent started asking you questions and questions. So your mind opens and opens, and so you can create a lot of different things. I am not absolutely nothing in technology. I am just very simple. I learn what I know a little bit by my own. So it's kind of, for me, like you say, I was afraid in the beginning, but then now I am very, very happy that I have that. And it's not only that. Before I was, if I have problems with the technology, I was asking friends and everybody to teach me. But now I just go there and ask, and they give me the whole answers, and I start following the answers, and that's so easy and so fantastic for me.
That makes me so happy to hear. That is so empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing. And especially when you come back to the site and look up your file, because when you just have a chat, the file disappears. They don't save. But if you have your agent, that you will create like a special site for you where you have your files, and you can. And I doing a little seminars for teenagers, and I ask the Manus is. Manus, my agent's name is the Magic Maximum, and so I asked Maximum to create for me a webinar or to create for me a presentation for the teenagers. I want to learn, for them to learn about how to money works, and they give me a really good plan. And now that I will execute in July, this plan I have, I will invite teenagers to a class, and we will do the presentation together with another friend that he is in insurance. So he teach people how to strategies, how to become, saving, and especially teenagers that they don't learn at school nothing.
I'm going to send you my 12-year-old.
Okay. Yeah.
So on a technical note, not to interrupt, on a technical note, you brought up a really important distinction that also trips people up. You are describing the difference between chat. You type stuff in, it's interesting, but it just goes away. It is retained, but not in a real way.
Yeah.
You're describing, when you say agent, you're describing what's known as agentic AI, which is in Claude, it's called cowork. Maybe it sounds like Manus calls it agent. It's fine. What does ChatGPT calls it? I think they just call it agent.
Yeah.
But they're all the same thing. It's agentic AI, and that means that it can go do things for you.
Yeah.
So depending on which system
it's like your secretary. You just tell them what to do, and they do. And then after all, they asking you questions, and then you just continue there growing the plan, because they help you to do that, and then it's really good. So I will keep doing, because I am very, very in the beginning steps, but I think I like it a lot.
Good. Can we drive this point home? Because I think this is a hang up for people. In the chat, let's just do a pop quiz. Okay, 2-question pop quiz. If I want to know a recipe for burrito tacos, should I use, let's keep it on Claude. Should I use Cowork? Should I use Claude Code? Or should I use chat? Go ahead and put that in the chat. I want to know how to make burrito tacos, which I'm actually making. They're in the crock pot right now. Unfortunately, you guys can't smell how good it smells in here. All right, go ahead and put it in the chat. Am I using chat? Am I using Cowork? Or am I using code?
I don't use code.
No, we're not going to use code. Okay, so far everybody that's responded has said chat. That's correct, and that's what you would use it for. Morsels of information. I don't need anything done for me. Now, let's take it a step further. Keith said Cowork, and while I disagree on the way I asked the question, he does have the right answer for the next question. What if I want to write a cookbook? Right? The recipe, chat. Quick, easy stuff. I saw an interesting looking turtle. I posted a picture. Posted it to chat. I want the recipe for burrito tacos, chat. I want to make a cookbook full of my family recipes, Cowork. Now, let's take it a step further. Everybody's on the right page. I have the recipe that I got from chat. I have the cookbook of that recipe with a bunch of others that I had. Let's say I had them in a Google Drive folder, okay? Ben's family recipes, okay? And I pointed Cowork to that folder, and now I have a cookbook available in PDF that I've shared with my extended family. Caleb, what if I wanted to move that over to a website?
Code.
Would I use chat, Cowork, or code?
I would use code.
Yeah. Cowork can do it, but it's going to be junky. You're not going to have the insights or previews. Yeah. Chat really can't do anything like that. So we've gone from recipe to making the cookbook to putting it on the web, which is a coding task. You can see the differences for what you would use for the different tools, right? Is that helpful?
Yeah. And just as a review, you know, like you said, chat is for the morsels of information, right? When you have a quick question that needs to be answered, things like that. Cowork is when you actually want to give it access to your computer's tools, the internet browser, what is it, a Word document, whether it be PowerPoint, allow it to actually work inside your computer as a virtual assistant. It'll do things. Code, the name is there, code. It really builds a lot of those back-end things for apps and websites. Really good.
I thought that was an important distinction. I didn't want to leave you guys without at least some sort of nerdery. So hopefully that helps. Robert had his hand up, I think.
Got one more thing. I'm gonna leave you guys alone.
No, what's up, Robert? Talk to me.
Sometimes I drive for dollars to try to find vacant property, and then I go to the tax assessor website to see who owns it. Then I send a letter asking to see if they're interested in selling, to see if they are motivated seller. If I can't reach them, I try to look them up on True People Search or use the app Deal Machine to call the numbers Deal Machine provide to me. And most of the time I can't reach them. And what I'm saying, I used to wholesale down here in South Georgia. Well, I talk a little country. And now I'm a realtor. And I kind of still want to do it because I know there's money out there to be made. And I was trying to see, is it that you think I need to give up on that, or is it a way AI can help me with that as well, where I could be wholesaling but also be a realtor?
And let me do a quick answer real quick, Ben, and then feel free to add or disagree with me as a whole. I feel like, each of those options is a tool in the tool belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, with you having the knowledge of wholesaling, despite what anybody believes about wholesaling, it is a tool, right? And it can be done successfully, right? So when you're approaching each seller, each seller's needs are going to be completely different, right? And I think with the knowledge and the path that you're taking already with it, I think you creating, PDFs about the difference between going on the traditional market and with you wholesaling the property, showing them a comparison of what to expect of that process and their final breakdown. You can use AI for all of that, right? Even more so, like you were talking about, trying to do educational content, right? You can use that educational content to basically supply the information for your PDFs. You could go on Claude, you ask it, I want to create 50 video topics on wholesaling and traditional real estate and how one may be better than the other. It's going to give you 50 different talking points. You can make tons and tons of shorts on them, right? Whether that be Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, however you do it, okay? Once you publish those pieces of content, you can take that link and put it right back into Claude and say, review this video and give me a summary. And I want to condense it into a PDF so I can give it to clients to let them determine which option is best for them. I know that was a long-winded way of saying you can use this to create the topics of your content, use it to create the content, and then use the content for the PDFs and all the information that you want to give to your client. Because at the end of the day, I think it's not an either or. I think it's you lean into both and use it as a service and tools for your sellers to move forward.
And I can get views and stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Get a little buzz.
So I actually, in sort of extending on what Caleb said, what you described is what I call the car wash method. When you go to the car wash, you have the silver or the bronze, silver, and gold package, and they each give you different things. What happens, despite which one of those you choose, what happens to the car wash? They get paid.
Yeah.
So the car wash doesn't care what you do. I mean, I'm sure they'd love to have everybody with gold, but that's not realistic. There's different tiers. I call that the car wash pricing style. In the chat, I put a prompt for this particular situation you could put in there. And I'm thinking more like when you're going to a listing presentation and you have somebody that's kind of on the fence. I have done many listing presentations where I've generated the lead using the, what's it called? The cash offer system, express offers that EXP has, or before I was with EXP, something similar, where you have a lead from somebody that wants to sell a home for a cash offer. Well, we all know you can totally do that, but it's not the most lucrative way to sell a house, and that's not for everybody. So I'll walk in with the cash offer that I know they're going to hate and walk out with a signed traditional listing agreement at 6% or whatever. So my point is, I call that the car wash method. You might have a different name for it, but you can take that prompt I just put in there and put it in there and start developing this out. Now, should that be the only thing you ever type into Claude? No, because a lot of these initial prompts are just things to develop an idea. Okay, so take that start as a start, and you know, for the next step, and develop what you're developing, and don't worry about it. You can't break it. Just try things. Just try it.
And then piggybacking on top of that, like Ada said, tell it to ask you questions, because it really does start to open your mind to things you didn't think about when approaching the situation. Like it really will. It'll ask you, okay, well, what if a seller wants to do this? How do we add this into the actual process? And you're like, dang, I didn't even think about that. Okay, do, and now it's in there. So really good tool there.
And you said always ask at the end relevant questions. And also, I usually use ChatGPT. Is that okay?
So Ben, I'll let Ben speak on this one.
It's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
No, I mean, to answer your question, it's okay. My my feeling is that, my personal opinion is that ChatGPT is a little bit behind the curve on a lot of this stuff, especially agentic. I would, if I were you, that's the only way I can answer it. If in my shoes, I chose Claude. It's just so much further advanced.
And from my experience, I started off with ChatGPT, and while it gets the job done, I believe Claude is just a lot cleaner. Like when you're asking it to actually produce PDFs and visuals, it's so much more in depth. It's so much more modern and clean. You don't have to give it as many prompts to actually get a usable finished product. And that's with, if you're making websites, apps, PDFs, presentations, the whole nine. ChatGPT, I feel like you really have to drive the boat when it comes to design and themes, whereas Claude, it'll take the reins on that.
Yeah.
100%. But that's a great process, Robert. I'm excited to see what you do with that.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and where will this recording be? If I'm done after that.
Okay, so tomorrow it'll be uploaded to the YouTube, and then also we'll have Ben's socials in there. Like, guys, I promise you, Ben is a wealth of knowledge. So make sure you reach out to him if you have any questions about, moving forward with any of your projects. Seriously.
Can I? So yes, please do. So I would love to hear from somebody I haven't heard from yet on real estate workflows. For example, my least favorite thing to do in real estate was to schedule showings. So I created a tool that goes from literally, it'll pull the homes they've liked in Lofty, which is my CRM of choice. It'll pull the most recent ones that they've saved. So I always harp on, this is where you look at listings, the ones you like, and it'll go find the 10 most recent favorite homes. It will do a quick search on MLS to make sure that they're still valid. And usually I'll end up with 5 or 6. It'll go over to MLS, which we use Stellar MLS, and it will create a showing time list. It'll go into showing time. It'll organize it based on furthest away to closest from my house in Apollo Beach, Florida, because I always like to start out further and head home. And I give it a time window. It will schedule everything. Because I use a Mac, it'll pull up iMessage, and any agents that are not polite enough to use showing time, it will actually send them a text asking for confirmation that I can show it during whatever time block. And it'll schedule everything. It'll send out the requests, and it will then send an email with the itinerary to the client and puts it on everybody's calendar, and I just show up to the first showing. The first time this worked, it just worked. Like, it was smart enough to figure it out and just do it with nothing from me. I mean, I literally set it to start. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. Not expecting much. Went to the gym and I started seeing showing time confirmations come in via text. And it was correct, and it worked. And that is a complicated multi-step process. Most people don't necessarily want to do that. You might like to schedule, another step is you have a listing going live. I remote it in, I run everything from a Mac Mini, a desktop computer. You could do it on your laptop. You just need to make sure it's open. It's fine. But I remote it into my Mac Mini at home, and I said, start the new listing process, which is a skill in co-work for 123 Main Street. And by the time I got to where I was going, it had it waiting for me because I look over it, and I was just waiting for pictures. Pictures came in the next day. I pointed it to that folder. It uploaded the pictures for me in the order that I like them to be in, because it knows it can see the pictures. And then it uploaded the disclosure documents from the listing transaction folder on my Mac Mini. Those things are possible. They are not possible if you don't start. They certainly are not possible if you stop and when you get an obstacle. But those are the kind of things that I want you guys to understand. You can do these things. At one point, the most transactions I've had recently at one time was 4 going at one time, combination of buyers and sellers. And if I spend more than 15 minutes a day working, that would be a lot. Now, that doesn't count driving somewhere, like if I have a consult or something, or something specific. But if I don't have any appointments that day, my admin work for being a real estate agent, 15 minutes would be a lot on up to 4 transactions at once. I get every morning at 6 a.m. I get an email, not an email, I get a Telegram message from my transaction coordinator, who, by the way, is not human. saying, here's where we're at on this, or it's, the inspection period is coming up. You need to do this, this, and this. We haven't heard back on this. It goes through my email. It goes through my text. It goes through SkySlope. It goes through Lofty. It goes through my computer. And it literally performs better than the last transaction coordinator that I was paying $24,000 a year. These things are possible if you make them possible, if you learn the things. I can't just, I would love to be able to snap my fingers and give you what you need to be able to do stuff like this. But the reality is there is a learning curve. It's not a huge one. You can totally do it, but you got to challenge yourself. So I just wanted to say that kind of stuff is possible if you embrace it and challenge yourself with those things. So Eric.
Yeah. What's up, Eric?
Oh, hey, what's going on, Caleb? Good to see you, man. long time no talk to.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, Ben. Hey, thanks for. I just wanted to jump in. I heard you talking a little bit about your setup on the Mac Mini. So more specifically, how did you set it up on the Mac Mini? Like, I'm a techie myself, so when I heard that, I was like, I would love to take that off of,
yes,
the manual co-work. So can you talk a little bit about that remote setup piece?
Okay, yeah. So you brought up a good point. The one annoying thing to me about Claude is, for whatever reason, co-work and code are localized to your machine. If you know that, not everybody may know that. Okay, it's tied to your specific thing. So if you start a co-work session on a Mac Mini, and then I go out to my laptop in the living room, they're two totally different, distinct things, even if I have them pointing to the same drive. Okay, so that's number one. That's the problem we want to solve. There is something called dispatch that I played with a little. That really doesn't solve the problem. That's sort of like a remote command giver, but it's not like running your computer. So what I did, I'm assuming, are you all Mac, or what's your setup like?
Oh, I'm all Mac, man. So yeah, I've got. If it's Mac, I've got it. So
okay, because there's a couple of solutions. So there's an app. I think it was $29 a year, or maybe total, called what's it called? What is this? I got it going. Screens Connect. It's in the App Store. You only have to pay for it once.
Screens or screens?
Screens with an S. Screens Connect. You only have to pay for it once, and it works on all your iOS and Mac OS devices. So it's pretty good. I set the Mac Mini so that it just stays on all the time, and because it's in my house, I don't require a password. Now, you may think that's weird, but if I have somebody in my house on my Mac Mini, I have bigger problems than not having a password. So just keep that. We have other issues going on. That's the least of their concerns, is that they broke into my Mac. So just, it's also designed to go, log right in, so it's accessible. So whether you're down the street at the gym, or I was working on my Mac Mini from Chattanooga last week on vacation, doing stuff that needed to be done on the Mac Mini. So Screens Connect is really good. Disable any sort of like login you need for it. And
you have that hardwired into you going Ethernet hardwired, right?
Yeah.
For your Mac Mini?
Screens Connect, yeah, I see what you're getting at. Screens Connect actually handles the connection issues you might have. So basically what it does is even if your IP address or whatever changes, because it's dynamic, I'm not paying for a static IP address. If Screens Connect on the Mac is going to know what that new IP address is and report it to Screens Connect, and then give that to the other device. So it's it's what would you call that? A bridge?
Yeah.
Technically, that's a router. If you've taken the CompTIA Network Plus course. So basically, it's doing the job of a router, but essentially I'm remoting in. Now, there's capabilities in Chrome can do that. I don't like it as much because if you have a weird monitor size like me, it makes everything distorted. If you have Windows has a native system called Remote Desktop built in. You could look into. So there's basically, the idea is that I have a dedicated computer. The reason why it's a desktop Mac Mini versus a laptop is because if you close the screen on a laptop, unless you have it specifically set, the default is that it shuts down. Battery issues. So there's no battery in a Mac Mini. This is an old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, it's new, but like a desktop situation where it's always running. So that's how I handle that. I'm hoping and praying one day they build remote capabilities into Claude. That would be amazing. That'd be a great way to get people to upgrade if they offered that into, in the higher tiers. So yeah, that's how I do that. So basically when I'm remote, I run my admin tasks by remoting into the Mac Mini.
Because I had that issue myself, Ben. I'm a big Mac guy. I got 2 MacBook Pros. I got several different desktops. And then I made the mistake of creating my backend program for my admins at my home Mac Mini, right? So now only time I can fix bugs, only time I can workshop, only time I can do something is when I'm at home at that Mac Mini. You know what I'm saying? So I just downloaded Screen Connect myself because that just alleviated so many issues.
It's awesome. It works on your iPad. It works on.
Really?
I always have this thing, especially. So now I am running a paid website called Closing Day. We had mentioned. My nightmare is that I'm on a cruise ship somewhere and something happens where I need to fix something, and I can't do it because I'm in the middle of the Caribbean. Well, now as long as I have the internet package, and it would have to be pretty catastrophic for me not to be able to fix the issues there. Now, I don't want to get too technical, but it seems like I have a couple nerds on here like me.
You do.
A lot of this issue, like when you're running these projects, okay, I highly recommend what's known as a hybrid approach. Using the term, the technical terms, a hybrid approach where Closing Day, for example, and another thing I did, I'm studying for these certification exams, so I created something I called the Rapid Learning Portal. I'll show you some of these things. It's kind of hard to visualize. I'm going to share my screen. And I know we're past time. If anybody leaves, I will not be offended, especially as we get a little bit more nerdy here. But I crave this kind of conversation. I work from home, just like you guys. So this is called the Rapid Learning Platform. And these tech certifications I'm getting are very technical. They're very nuanced. They're very difficult. I'm going to go to the one that I'm closest to completing. So I created this platform. Now you notice up here, you might not see it because it's only showing the actual content of the page, but it says courses.closingday.info. So what I did, closingday.info, I own as the domain, and that's where I run it. Go.closingday.info is the product, is the real estate agent product, the sales tool. But I have all this hosting. I'm like, why would I waste that? Cloudflare, it's all under one. So I created like subdomains for my other projects. So I have trader.closingday, which was my day trading API. I have courses. I have finance, which is like personal finance tools. So I have, I don't know if you guys do this, but it's kind of old fashioned. But occasionally it's just easier to write a check than it is to, for business expenses. And QuickBooks doesn't really generate the check properly. I paid $50 for a Windows app, and I'm not using Windows anymore. So I created a business check writing app that works in the browser using code. So that works really well. I'm fanatical about, I'll show you that. I should show you guys these things as I'm doing them. Share this tab instead. I created this is the personal finance tool. So I'm fanatical about paying off my credit cards every week. I'm a credit card points nerd. So what I do is I come in to this tool, and these are the credit cards that I use, and they get paid off every week. And I just drag the last 30 days CSV file right here. And what it does is it pulls up any transaction, and it lists my checking accounts that I pay them from, because they're different things. Different money. And it seamlessly reconciles it and makes sure that all the money's coming from the right spot. And my credit score went over 800 as a result of this. So kind of a cool thing. And it keeps a record of it. And and then the check
And
printer.
this is the tool. This is the tool that
Mhm.
you created, correct?
Yeah, these are all Claude Code projects. And the reason why
Right.
I'm showing this stuff is because they're all part of the closing day domain. So if you are nerding out on this and you've created, and Jerome, you've created something with this. You guys have created stuff with this. You're probably at the point where you need to take a hybrid approach, because, and I'm not gonna let me see. I'm gonna log in with a demo agent account here. So this is closing day. This is a demo account. All of these things connect to this Cloudflare hosting using what are known as D1 databases. It's D1 is just what Cloudflare calls their SQLite. SQL is a database language that links everything together. So in the case of this product, all these are fake, but all these transactions show up in a database. That's how it knows. That's how all that works. So, so basically, I create the code in Claude Cowork or in Code. These projects, even my admin projects that I do in Cowork, are connected to D1 databases. And I'll show you. That's AI.
What are you using for your database? Are you using Superbase?
Well, so I just use the off-the-shelf implementation that Cloudflare uses, which in my research it's SQLite is what it is. They call them their D1 databases, but this is the website backend for my real estate admin tools. So everything, like you'll have crons, it'll run the connection between Lofty and closing day for my stats. It manages the org chart. Each one of these is a different employee agent, so to speak. So it runs all of this stuff. So you could think about this page as sort of like my corporate intranet infrastructure. That makes sense? Okay. So like,
yeah.
Was it Keith who had the onboarding and documentation thing? So this is kind of my implementation of that, but it's not necessarily designed for humans to read. It's documentations for the AI agents, so they have a place to consult. It keeps all my platform credentials, things like that. It stores the methods, has the list of everybody. So some of this stuff is super nerdy.
Yeah, it is. But what I like about that, Ben, too, is it takes you off of all of these other platforms and all these other people that you're paying and all these other people, like all of the things, right? So it takes you in, and now you have control on your Mac Mini, on your personal server that you are holding. And to me, that's the most powerful piece of it.
That's the biggest thing.
I call it the hybrid approach. Because the Mac Mini, due to technical limitations of current Claude, I have to have sort of a home base, and it runs the code. It runs stuff locally, but the actual guts of the program, these programs, are in Cloudflare.
Gotcha.
And I just keep in mind, I pay Cloudflare $5 a month.
Yeah.
For all these tools. So if you're getting to the point where you're doing some more innovative type projects, don't let everything run from the Mac Mini. Start running stuff in the cloud. The best you can, because you're going to hit limitations. You're going to hit limitations with running everything locally.
Man, you're taking me back to my IBM days, pre real estate here. You had me going. I was like, oh yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, okay, he's on to something now. Let me dig a little deeper. And then
and you might like this. The architecture, like none of this stuff happens by accident. Like for something that's usable and useful, like it needs to be mapped out. Now you can use AI to help you map it out, but there needs to be something that's documented. You can't just wing this stuff.
No.
Where I'm going to end up picking your brain on this, Ben, is because I'm not going to lie, man, I've been vibe coding. You know what I'm saying? I've been winging it, like I don't have this built in, like, and I do want to real quick for you, and I want to show you exactly what I've been building, but I don't have this back end like you do. This is very,
It's
very
phenomenal.
structured.
Yeah.
This is very structured. You know what I'm saying? Like that is
Yeah,
crazy.
this is the you know, the VIP post, you know, the closing credits version of this. Because I know if I talk about this with most people, nothing wrong with that. We're not all nerds. Trust me. Sometimes I wish I wasn't this nerdy. Their eyes glaze over. This is not for them. But there's a few people in every group where, you know, this stuff is useful. Maybe it's the next step for what you're doing. I might pick something up from you, but you know, hopefully you get something good from this. But I mean, you know, I just showed 4 different things, the way that it has improved my life. Like, if you guys want to see something really cool, if you're not squeamish, it's not that inappropriate, but this Microsoft Azure course I'm taking is a data science course. Azure is a database system from Microsoft. And I don't know if there's any true crime junkies. I actually used to be in law enforcement. I was a police officer for 10 years, St. Pete Police and Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And so I'm kind of like in both worlds. I actually was a role player at a hostage negotiator conference a few weeks ago, where I had to generate fake hostage images for their scenarios with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. So I'm sort of like in both worlds a little bit here. I'm forever grateful to the real estate industry because it gave me the structure to develop these tools that can lead to something else.
100%.
And my personal opinion on technology or anything that's difficult is you got to find a way to make it real to you. And once you make it real to you, that's when you start like ingesting it. And for me, you know, my background in law enforcement, or you don't even need to be a former cop. Maybe you just like true crime. Maybe that's just kind of like something you're interested in. You've seen every Dateline episode. Find ways to make it real to you. Sometimes that means you step out of the obvious. You step out of real estate and you step into another application. Oh, this now makes perfect sense.
Right.
And that's, again, in the weeds, but it's part of the larger discussion on how do you start incorporating and making technology useful to you.
Yeah, 100%, man. Ben, you've given us a masterclass and you've given us some things to walk away with. Guys, this is not going to be the last time you're going to see Ben. You know, Ben has been, like I said before, a wealth of knowledge in the AI space, man, where we're excited to bring him back and pick his brain again. Thank you, Ben, so much for your time today, man. We went a little over today, but we touched on some great things, guys. Ben has dropped his socials in the chat. Tomorrow, this video is going to be on YouTube, okay? It's going to have all of the links in the chat. It's going to have his socials so you can get in touch with them and more. Okay? So thank you, Ben. Once again, guys, we do this every single Tuesday. We are looking for people that are interested in talking about the subjects that they're experts on. If anybody wants to speak, feel free to reach out to me, guys. We want to get the community more engaged. So once again, Ben, thank you, man. I hope you have a blessed week. And if there's anything,
take care. Reach out anytime you want, and check out closingday.info. I'd love it if you'd let me know what you thought.
Hell yeah, for sure, brother. Thank you, guys. Y'all take it easy and y'all have a blessed one. Close some deals.
All right. Yep. Bye-bye.